the guy goes, because it was a guy and a gal, the guy goes, were you there when Bill Murray was there? I said, yeah. He goes, I got the video. This was 23 years after I had been there, had never seen the video. He goes, I'll send you a copy. So after 23 years, at a transgender conference, I get a copy of the video I had never seen of myself in the Saturday Night Live clip. Anyway, wild stuff, small world stuff. So, how are we doing on time?
We got about an hour.
I can probably do that. What was I going to say? Okay, so now we're into the Esprit thing, and I'm going every year, and now my spouse is saying, I'm not doing too well here. I'm not comfortable. We had a day in one winter where all 3 children were at a friend's house staying overnight, because there's a lot of, and it snowed, so they couldn't get back to our house. And it was just Kim and I at the house, and she knew how much it meant to me to be able to dress. So she would give me moments when she'd do that. So I said, we're just 2 of us having coffee in the morning, and I said, is it okay if I dress? She goes, okay. She goes, go up in the bedroom, shut the door, I don't want to see it, but go ahead. I said, okay, thank you. So I go up there. I was sitting there. All of a sudden she goes, would you like some breakfast? Sure, I'd love some breakfast. So I'm sitting in the bedroom. She makes the breakfast. She comes up. She opens the door, does one of these. You know, shuts the door, doesn't look inside. Thinking, okay. Eat my breakfast. Go back down to her. Hey, the plate's ready. You can come get it. For some reason, I have no idea why she said this. She said, you just want me to see you, don't you? And I said, well, I feel like a dog up here being stuck in this room that I can't get out of. She goes, I'll need some champagne. I said, oh, great, pour a couple glasses and come on up. So she did. Could not believe it. So she pours these glasses, comes up to the bedroom, opens the door, and sees me for the very first time. That's Nicole. I don't know what you would imagine yourself doing, especially the females in here who would do that with their boyfriend, husband, whatever. You see that spouse of yours dressed as a woman? She was so good. She walked over. First thing she said was, you're beautiful. I thought, oh, you just made my world and my day and my year and my life. So we sat and talked. It gave us that little bit of moment where, for the next hour or so, she said, I don't care if you dress. It was enough for her to be comfortable enough for an hour to let me do that. But after she did, in retrospect, that was probably the one moment where things turned against us, because she ended up knowing how happy I was. She saw how absolutely happy I was, and how absolutely miserable I would be when I wasn't like that. So, her sister had a dog at the beach. She lived at the beach. She's another teacher. And she would let me come down and stay with the dog while she'd go to these math conferences. I'd never go to the math conferences, even as a math teacher. She'd go and I wouldn't go. So I'd go down there and stay with the dog. And I would stay there with the dog for 3 or 4 days, and I would be able to be myself for 3 or 4 days. And my spouse knew that was happening, and she was totally supportive of it. But every time I'd go there, and I would be so happy going, and then I'd come back and I'd be dumpy again, you know, kind of in the dumps. Well, this one particular time that I did it, it's now about 6 years ago. She goes, I'm going to tell the kids. She goes, she goes, either you're leaving or I'm leaving. She goes, I'll leave the house. But she goes, I'm telling the kids that I want a divorce. You cannot imagine the feeling that did to me. When I married this woman, she was my life. She was the most beautiful, loving, kind person I had ever met. And throughout our entire marriage, I would be so excited to see her when she'd come back from work. To this day, I can't wait to see her when I can. And she's telling me that she's going to leave the house. And I said, no, you're not leaving the house. Kendra was still in high school. And I said, you got to stay here with Kendra. She's going to finish high school. And I said, I'll leave. She goes, well, I already have an apartment set up. She goes, you can stay there. I said, what apartment do you got set up? She goes, well, a cousin of mine, this story is just crazy. A cousin of mine that I went to high school with, he went to college with me then. He marries this gal from Hawaii. Her parents come to Oregon once a year for a month in December, and they have this condo that they bought, but they're never there other than that month of December. She said, she went and asked the cousin about it, and they said, yes, you can rent that place for $400. Sold. Did it. So I move in to this little apartment that my cousin knows. My cousin is from Staten. His mother in Staten knows everybody, and she has a big mouth. So I knew that she would tell the entire town, and it would get to sublimity very shortly. And I hadn't told my mom yet, or my parents. My dad had died when I was 30, so he was out of the picture by then. But my mom didn't know. And so I go, okay, I got to figure out a way to get the news down there. First of all, my siblings, they don't know what's going on. So I figure, okay, there's a golf tournament coming up, the alumni golf tournament. I'd love to play golf, so I said, I'll tell my sister. I'll tell my sister then, and then I'll have her tell my mom because I'm a chicken shit. I'm not going to do it. So I tell her, I said, I need to talk to you after the tournament. She goes, okay. So after the tournament, I go, can we go out in the parking lot? Yeah. We go out in the parking lot. First thing she says to me is, you and Kim aren't breaking up, are you? I said, it's a little different than that. I said, it's a little more involved than that. I said, I don't know how to tell you this other than just to tell you this. I said, I'm transgender. Her first words to me were this, I know all about that. I said, how do you know all about that? Did you catch me? No. Her husband was transgender. She found him in her wedding dress the second year of their marriage. So she has this secret now. It gets even better than that. She has the secret that she has to tell somebody. She goes to tell her mother. This is a couple years before this has happened with her, that I had talked to her. She goes to her mom, and she goes, Mom, guess what? I found Dan with the wedding dress, my wedding dress on. My mother says, I kid you not, you married your father. My dad was transgender, and he hid it the entire time. All 11 kids were growing up. He worked in the woods for my uncles in the logging business. He was a choker setter. I mean, this is about as mountain as you can get, as redneck as you can get. He's working with these redneck uncles. And he's got this secret that ends up, I believe, killing him when he was 55 years old. He had so much stress from that, I'm sure. So anyway, so now I find out that my dad was transgender, which gets me back to thinking in high school. One time I was sitting before a football game on a Friday night, and I walked by their bedroom, and my dad's putting pantyhose on. And my first thought was, is he like me? So I walked in, I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh, these are some of your mother's old holy nylons, and they keep my legs warm, and it's pretty cold out. Oh, okay, makes sense to me. Brushed it off, didn't think twice about it.